Freeze. I'm Batman.
3 years ago, George Clooney was a struggling actor on the shabbier fringes of television. Not even a household name in his own household. But just look at him today. This year, he'll be seen as the new Batman in Batman and Robin, as Michelle Pfeiffer's co-star in the romantic comedy One Fine Day, as Nicole Kidman's partner in the action thriller The Peacemaker, and of course, as the sexy Dr. Doug Ross in that hugely successful TV series, ER. So what happened? Where on earth did he come from? Well, the answer is to be found here at Warner Brothers Studio in Burbank, where Clooney made Batman and where he's still making ER. So, tell you what, let's go and talk to him. George, with your background, your father, Nick, is a TV host.
Mm-hmm.
Auntie is Rosemary Clooney,
Mm-hmm.
who was married to Jose Ferrer. I mean, show business must have been inevitable for you.
You mean that we're unemployable in anything else?
Well,
Yes.
that too, yes.
Part of it is true. I think I was always going to go into some form of this business. I thought I was going to be in broadcasting. I thought I'd be a television journalist of some sort or something but I wasn't really smart enough, and my father was really good at it, and I didn't, I couldn't really compete with him, so I figured I'd do something that would take very little intelligence. And I found it. I'm quite proud.
That's what they always say about actors, isn't it?
Yes, we're proud of that.
But you started off, aged about 20 in your cousin's film, Miguel Ferrer.
Yes, yes.
And They're Off, which wasn't, because it never opened.
We called it The Story of a Gelding. Yeah, and They're Off. It was a horse race movie that never came out. The investors went to jail for embezzling.
That's a bad start.
That's one of my better films, too. I've had a pretty auspicious film career.
Well, you had a fairly auspicious television career, didn't you?
Yes.
Because, I mean, for a long time throughout the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
there was a succession of, if I may say so, rather bad television.
Yes, I tried to do as much bad television as possible so that other people didn't have to. I thought that was my job.
That was very, very unselfish of you.
Thank
to do
you.
that.
I was always very giving. Actually, there are those minutes, you talk yourself into thinking that what you're doing might be good. Like when I did a series called Sunset Beat, where I played an undercover cop on a Harley during the day and a rock star at night. And there was a moment that I think I talked myself into thinking that might be good. That's the danger of being in my profession. That's why I tell you we're all idiots.
You must have talked very hard to believe that.
I drank a lot at the time, I think.
Is it true that you did 8 pilots for series that nobody wanted?
I did 15 pilots altogether.
Oh.
I guess about 6 or 7 of them got picked up, and I did them as series. But that's not even a bad record, really. Usually about 1 out of every 8 or 9 pilots will get picked up. So I was actually doing a little better than, for a while, every show I did got picked up, and then I went through a disastrous period.
Well, to have remained employed throughout the 80s like that,
Mm-hmm.
you must have been doing something right. I mean, if the television...
Well, I had pictures of the network executives with farm animals, and that seemed to really help. I advise that, by the way. Get that, and you'll be on the air for a long time. But ugly farm animals, because, if they're good, they can't be good looking.
Yeah, the pretty ones are gone.
Exactly. All the studio executives have them.
But then you were in a film called The Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yes,
You
well,
might be
actually,
familiar.
I figured that I shouldn't just corner the market on bad television.
You did some bad films.
I should do bad films as well. Yeah.
But I mean, in that film, you delivered the deathless line, "That's the bravest thing I've ever seen a vegetable do."
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you got to that line in the script, did you not pause and think, is this really serious work for a grown man?
Well, I think I was drinking again at that period. I have to think, did I was really proud of that line.
Well, it's memorable.
Oh, sure. Well, when you think about the kind of, I had just come off of a series called Baby Talk, where the baby talks, and I'd gone to The Return of the Killer Tomatoes, where the tomatoes talk. So I was working my way slowly down the scale to just amoebas or something like that.
Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
All right. Let's find a way to get out of here, huh? Okay. Mice? Big mouse. Oh, no, it's horrible creatures. It's giant zucchini and man-eating artichokes. Shut up, I'll handle this, all right? Yo, zucchini. Tara?
Chad,
Tara,
I thought you never wanted to see me again.
I thought you were ketchup.
And then suddenly ER happened. Now, how did that come about?
Well, I was, for the last few years, you know, there's a funny thing is there's kind of a snobbery of actors. You know, there's the theater actors look down on the film actors, and the film actors look down on the TV actors, and the TV actors look down on mass murderers or something. I'm not quite sure what it is. But I had, for the longest time, I would say, you know, I'm a movie actor who happens to be doing a TV series. And after a while, I started to realize I was a television actor. That's what I did. I was very proud to be in television, and because that's where I made my living, and that's where work was very good for me. For feature films, I would have to go in and read for the casting director to get a job. But for television, I could go, you know, I didn't have to test at the network. They would give me the job. So I decided if I'm going to do television and commit to it, then I should try and do better television. That was my theory.
Idea, yeah.
And so I thought, and then eventually maybe that'll give me a chance at films. I started doing better and better projects, and here at Warner Brothers, and the man who was the president of Warner Brothers at the time went to bat for me on this project, and I went into John Wells and to Michael Crichton and to Steven Spielberg, and I said, this is my job. Yeah. And I read for them, and I read about 5 or 6 times, and they said, okay. And then I used those pictures with farm animals.
Of course. What is more important? Is it acting ability or the impression you make as you walk through that door?
Always the impression you make. There is a misconception that I think everyone has. I had when I moved to Los Angeles, which is talented people work and not talented people don't work. The truth of the matter is, anytime I walked in the door, there were 10 other actors there that would have done a better job than me. We're not selling acting ability when you walk in. You're selling confidence. That's what people are buying. You can feel them in the room. You'll walk in the room, there'll be 30 people sitting up against a wall, and they're there to make you a nervous wreck. And for the longest time, you know, I would come in and I'd be like, oh God, I just want them to like me. Just, you know, just don't hate me. And then eventually, you get it to the point where you go in and you go, I'm here to solve their problems. You know, I'm not going to worry about whether they like me or not. I'm here to solve their problems. And you change the tone in the room, and suddenly when you walk in, you are confident, and you are selling them. You know, you'll see it. Having now been on the other side, having sat in when other people read, you can see it, you can feel it. You'll feel the best actor never get the job, ever, not once. I've never seen the best actor get the job. They'll come in and they'll go, hi, how you doing? Is it okay if I do this? And you'll see everybody sit there and go, God, that was a great job. And then you'll see some guy, not quite as good, come in and go, hi, how's it going? Am I reading with you? All right, great. Don't screw me up. I'm going to move this over here. And you'll feel everybody kind of sit up in their seat, you know. And you know they're going to get the job. They're going to get the job. Part of it is also what actors never realize is most people, directors, producers, are looking for a very specific type. Yeah. They know what they're looking for. And you're not going to change their mind. If they want a blonde surfer type, I'm not going to get that job, even if I do a great interview. And, you know, you'll go home, you go, I changed their mind. They want some kind of, you know, East Coast, dark-haired, graying kind of guy. But they don't. And that's you know, you'll talk yourself into a lot of things as an actor.
And as you once said, I think you do have great TV hair, which is important.
You have to have, and as do you, I think, and I'm...
Oh, you're kind.
Yeah, no,
Not
really
as nice as yours.
No, yours is very nice.
The impact of ER must have, I mean, that must have astonished you. Because there you've been working pretty well, you know.
Yes.
Hardly anybody really noticing you, I guess, among the audience. And suddenly, here you are, this great heartthrob. I mean,
yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Huh? It's always good to turn right around 35 to become a heartthrob. That's always fun. That gives me, what,
well,
2 more years of a career? And then I'm back on Hollywood squares. Yeah, it was wild. It's just immensely successful, and I'm surprised that it has lasted as long as it has, because there is a gimmick to our show. You know, the energy and things were part of our gimmick. And there's a period of time that becomes old. And the challenge then becomes, we're not worried about competition in the United States. We're worried about competing with ourselves and the season that we did before. So we try to make the show better, and that's become the big challenge. And sometimes we succeed, and sometimes we fail.
What the hell are you doing?
Trying to boost the jack ball up.
Oh, man.
I can feel it.
This kid needs an airway.
Okay. Get the forceps.
I've got a line.
I can feel the ball. It's moving.
Moving.
I almost got it.
You get it?
I got it.
All right, good. All right.
These residents on their way down.
Is he breathing?
How's he at KO?
Yep, he's breathing.
What on earth made you think to do that?
What surprised me is that, you know, after that big impact, the first movie you chose to star in was From Dusk Till Dawn, which is a bizarre film.
Yeah, well, my intention was to do a good part in a good film. This movie came around, and it was an opportunity to work with Quentin Tarantino, who had just won the Oscar for writing the last thing that he'd written, Robert Rodriguez, who I think is an innovative filmmaker, Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, Miramax. It was a great opportunity for me. It was also a great part, and it was exactly the opposite of what I do on the show. And the truth was, I didn't have to carry the movie. Harvey was the lead, even though I had to, you know, kind of the main focus was my character. But Quentin and the things that surround Quentin when he does those, that all became the aura of the film. And I got to be part of it, a big part of it, but I didn't have to carry it. So I was protected in a lot of ways.
You think it was funny? Sit down!
It's a hell of a leap from there to One Fine Day.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You know. And I gather that virtually the first thing you had to do on One Fine Day was to start necking with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Day one.
Day one.
That's
Now,
too bad.
At that point, you must have thought there are worse ways of making a living.
I thought I couldn't believe that they were going to pay me. Yeah, the idea I think it was first day we had to do the last scene in the movie where I finally get to kiss her. And it's a little intimidating anyway, you know. It's intimidating to work with Michelle. Michelle, again, that was a movie where I liked the script a lot, and I thought, it's a really sweet film. It's an old-style romantic comedy, but what I loved about it, the opportunity was, for me, I got to work opposite Michelle Pfeiffer, and that took my career and put it in a little bit better place. And my only concern was not screwing up that, because it's intimidating, you know, so you just want to, you know, I wanted to kind of quietly ease into that one, and that was, again, that was a good move for me because it was Michelle's movie. Yeah. You know, I still hadn't had to carry one.
But you didn't really know her, but you had dated her sister, had you?
Yeah, I dated Dee Dee.
So I mean, snogging with Pfeiffers wasn't entirely
Sure,
new
I'd known the
territory.
Snogs. I'd know the Snogs. Is that right? Yes, I'd known the Pfeiffers for quite some time. And thanks for bringing that up.
Oh, well, it's all right. Yeah,
Sure,
my pleasure.
it's okay.
Hello.
Hi, it's me.
Me who?
You have kids?
What kid?
You didn't pick up the kids?
Oh, you mean those kids?
Look, I was just calling.
Just wanted to call and check up on me because you don't really trust me. Sammy, no. Put the gun down. And you only asked me to watch Sammy out of sheer desperation. And part of you would feel safer with him at the 9th Street Drop-In Center with LSD. Isn't that true?
No, that is not true. I only wanted to warn you that Sammy can get into trouble faster than you can make most women smile.
Are you flirting with me?
Would you please just really pay attention to him?
I won't let him out of my sight. Sammy! Hey, guns aren't toys.
And then on to Batman. Now, how do you feel about being the third Batman? Is there again the feeling that, you know, in 4 movies, they've all been a big success.
Yes.
I'm the third Batman. Am I going to be the one who screws it up? Does
Well,
that
yeah,
cross
there's
your
always that. But I would rather be the third Batman than the second Batman. The second Batman would be the tough one, because now we've established that this guy can be replaced fairly easily. I was a little skeptical in the very beginning about doing it. I was a little worried about it, only because it was someone else's franchise, and I was kind of filling in. So it seemed a little dangerous. But Arnold was involved already. Schwarzenegger was involved. Joel, I really like Joel Schumacher, the director, and he really makes a great kind of fun visual film. And I talked with Warner Brothers, and they really kind of said, look, here's what we want to do. We want to work with you. You know, we've had Kevin Costner and Mel Gibson and Clint Eastwood under contract here. And we'd like to invest in you for the next few years and say, let's see if you can make it here at this studio, and see if if you can make it in feature films. And it's not a bad way to come out in Batman, because you certainly know that a lot of people will see it.
There's something about an anatomically correct rubber suit that puts fire in a girl's lips.
Why are all the gorgeous ones homicidal maniacs? Is it me?
What about that fat suit?
It's miserable. I'm wearing it now underneath here.
Yeah,
like
I guess.
Sure, you could tell.
And I'm also told that Michelle Pfeiffer, who had played Catwoman,
Yes.
advised you to have a trap door built in.
Yes, she did give me a little advice about the trap door, but I put it in the wrong place because I put it where she told me to put it.
So it still took you hours to go to the loo.
Exactly,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
horrible. It was tremendously uncomfortable. I had a zipper on the side. That didn't mean no good.
Unless you're bragging.
Exactly. Well, unless I don't want to brag. No, it is the most uncomfortable thing in the world. But you spend 6 months in it, and at the end of that, you get to be Batman. It's kind of a good trade-off. Really. It's not such a bad deal.
Julie, I'm not the marrying kind. There are things about me that you wouldn't understand.
I know you're a dedicated bachelor. I know you've had your wild nights.
Wild doesn't quite cover it.
You'll make someone a good husband one day. But I can't wait around forever. Look, I don't want to pressure you, because if I pressure you, you'll just shut down. I know the way you are. Think about it. Just promise me you'll think about it. Okay? You don't have to answer now. Just, think it over. Here's some food for thought.
It's fun. It's embarrassing in a way to be a 35-year-old guy in a rubber suit. There are moments that you go, oh, what have I done? But it's so much fun. It's fun to do. Joel makes the set fun. Arnold, I can't tell you how much fun Arnold Schwarzenegger was to work with. He was funny and nice and very gracious, much more gracious than you would think a star of his caliber would be, because he's such a big star. And sometimes there are competitive, things in the air. And that was never that way with Arnold. He was nothing but gracious and nice and helpful to me. So I was very lucky.
You sound as if you're still a little overawed by movie stars.
Yeah, I had fun. I just met Clint Eastwood. He's on the lot. He walks around all the time. And it's funny, there is a difference between famous actors who I've met a lot of over the years and movie stars. And movie stars take your breath away. And Clint Eastwood walks in the room and you go, whoa, it's Clint Eastwood. There is something, and there's no explaining it. And I'm in awe of that, and I'm in awe of being around it. I've spent a lot of time with Tom Cruise. He's a movie star. And that's not taking away from him as an actor. I think he's a wonderful actor. But he's a movie star. He is bigger than life.
Is that what you aspire to be? I mean, does it happen to you yet when you walk into a room and people go, oh, it's George Clooney?
Yeah, my father did that once.
He did.
Yeah, that guy. He got the name right. That was the thing I was so surprised with.
Some of that must happen. I mean,
That happens. But there's a difference between
women faint at the mention of your name all over the place.
Rattle cans, too. there is a difference between being a television star and being a movie star. I am now a television star. I'm famous for being on television. When you're a movie star, you are 80 feet high, and you're bigger than life. And when someone meets you, they're kind of stunned by you, and they don't know what to say. Now, when you're a television star, you're in those people's homes every day, and they can make you talk or not talk, and you're smaller than they are, and they feel as if they watch you in their house coats, and they feel as if they know you personally. And so when they run into you, they're like, "Hey, George, how you doing?" And they're pissed off that you don't remember them. And you're like, "Hey, how's it going, Joe?" And it is funny. There is a difference. You're much more approachable. That's okay. I don't mind that so much. I like where my career is at. I like what I do. When you think about it, I'm going to get a little bit of a run here. You know, Batman will be a big film, and I've got a film after that, The Sixth Sense of Dream, which is a good film.
That's the Peacemaker.
That's Peacemaker. I'm going to get a little run. I'm going to get a chance at a film career. And as time goes on, you know, you don't get to be in the public eye that much. People get sick of you. I get sick of me, and I like me. I'm one of my bigger fans, you know, and I'm sick of me. So there's a period of time that you get, and then that's about it. And then you can have a couple of resurgence in your career, but for the most part, you really get a very kind of limited window. So my goal is to try and do as much work and try to do better work as you can. And for me to get better, too, you know, I like a name.
Did you at any point, when all the good things started happening, because it's all happened in the last 3 years, basically.
Yeah.
Was there any point there when you thought, hey, why me? I mean, why didn't all this happen to some other fellow?
No, I always thought it should happen to me.
Funny, Steven Spielberg said precisely the same thing when asked him the same question. Yeah.
No, it's true. I think that you can't go into this business not thinking that you, and I don't mean this in an egotistical way, because it's not thinking that you should, at some point, reach some level of success. I think that if you're an actor, for instance, every person who becomes an actor, they can talk about, I just want to do the work. But the truth is there is some need for attention, and there is some belief that if you just got the right part, or if you just, you know, and there is, by the way, some truth to that, you know, if, you know, anyone could be great in a specific way, and things, their lives turn around and change. So there, if you don't have that hope, then I don't think you're really going to last long in this business.
You don't sound as if you take it too seriously, which I think is good. I mean, seriously, but not solemnly.
If you at any point take this part of it seriously, take yourself seriously in it, then I think you're making a really big mistake, because, boy, it just goes away so quickly. You know, it's just, you know, there was a show here called This Is Your Life with Ralph Edwards, and we had this thing, and they would always bring out, you know, Buster Keaton, and he'd be sitting there, you know, like this, and they'd go, "Buster, you owned all the studios, you know, everybody kissed your ass, the world was your oyster, and then tragedy struck," and he was like, and you can't talk, and you realize, because every single star that comes out there owned the studios and was the hero, and now can't get a guest shot on Baywatch, and you realize that...
What a terrible thought.
But it's true. Yeah. So what you have to understand is it's not a question of whether or not that tragedy is going to strike. It is. It's how you handle it, and if you're ready for it when it does. And that's all, because the rest of this is enjoying the period of time that you get. You know,
it sounds as if you're pretty ready for it, for when that day
I was fairly well groomed for this. Yeah. You know, you do enough bad TV, you're ready.
You are, whether you like to admit this or not. I mean, you are the new heartthrob on the block, you know, the sex symbol. Do people get the wrong idea of you from that and from the character you play in ER? I mean, are you a great womanizer? Or to be on?
Well, actually, I was a little attracted to you right now. I'm just saying that, and I don't mean that sexually. I just mean...
I'm shocked.
There's always the danger of people thinking you are what you say. You know, what I play on the show is an alcoholic, womanizing, you know, pediatrician. So if you read every tabloid you read, you'll hear me, you know, stories about me being a drunken womanizer, you know.
But not a pediatrician.
But they leave that part out.
Yeah.
But there'll always be some story about me saving a kid. So they always throw you a bone, you know, here's something nice. And I'm not really any of those. I've had a fairly average, normal male life, you know.
But isn't it true that Nicole Kidman bet you $10,000 that you would be married
So
or
did Michelle.
certainly have a child in 5 years?
So did Michelle Pfeiffer.
And Michelle Pfeiffer too?
Yes, they both did.
So you stand to
think
win
just because
$20,000 if you keep clear for
The
5
way I
years.
figure I'm now making money, I have a reason to do this.
Well, they seem very confident that
Yeah,
you
but,
were going to
know,
succumb.
They're both big drinkers, those two.
Ah, of course, yeah. Yeah, well, that's a reputation.
Yeah, I'm sure that you've heard about, Michelle. And Michelle all the time, knocking on my trailer. George, you want to rehearse the love scene again? Michelle, Jesus. And Nicole.
I'm tired. Yeah, I got a headache. Yeah.
Nicole going, George, can I borrow some money? Come on, Nicole again?
Yeah. Tough, these women. Yeah.
It's so hard. So tough to work with them.
So what next, George? I mean, you've got these 3 films that certainly in Britain we will probably see this year.
Mm-hmm.
And
And then I'm doing a
one?
movie called Out of Sight for Universal, actually.
That's the Elmore Leonard book.
Elmore Leonard. Steven Soderbergh's directing it, and that should be a very fun one. It's a really good script. It's the kind of project I really like. It's all the people who did Get Shorty, and it's along those kind of lines. It's very dark comedy, and it's right up my alley. It's something I'm comfortable with, so that'll be fun. And
Where do you think you'll be in, let us say, 5 years from now? Do you think you're going to be up there with all those big movie stars you admire so much?
No, I don't think so. I think that there's always a certain amount of heat to the new guy. I was very lucky because I was always the wrong age through everything, and now I'm kind of the perfect age. I'm 35 years old, which means you can actually be a man, be a leading man. And there's a lot of leading man roles out there right now. So I'm very lucky because I kind of hit the perfect age. That'll change, and they'll be doing 17-year-olds, and it'll all be, some child doing it, and I'll be out and hating him, trying to kill him. But so I don't know. In 5 years, I'll be doing dinner theater again. It's cyclical. In 5 years, the one place I will be is financially in a better position, and other than that, I don't know.
That's not a bad position to be in, is it?
No, it'd be nice to. It's nice to be in the position where you go, okay, now I now don't have to work.
Yeah. And that's what you're aiming. Well, you must be nearly there.
I am there, and that's a great place to be.
At 35, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's very lucky, and that doesn't happen to many people. So I don't complain, those tiny things that kind of irk you, the paparazzis or the, loss of privacy or things like that. No one wants to hear you complain, and that's fair. That's fair enough. I understand that. I'm not going to complain.
You've got nothing to complain about, for God's sake.
And I got good hair.
Still great hair.
Yeah.
Well done, George. Thanks very much.
Hey, thank you.
The enduring appeal of putting Shakespeare on film is explored in the Learning Zone next week, looking at how directors put together the recent productions of Romeo and Juliet and Richard III. That's next Monday morning from 4 a.m. on BBC2. And there's Western film action still to come tonight on BBC1. Lee Van Cleef stars as a Native American soldier on the trail of assassins, Captain Apache, in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I did this show Air Force last week. It weren't that bad. So many comedians. They were quite funny. And as for that dating show, well, I suppose young people need somewhere to meet. And I had even heard of some of the guests. Yeah, the Air Force. Not the worst show on TV by any means. But then again, I am drunk.
The A-Force, Friday, 11:15.
On BBC2.
Crowd is on their feet. It's match point to Tim Henman.
It's going to be a tough, long match.
I don't believe what I'm seeing here. The match is over.
Will this be the year for the new faces of Wimbledon 1997? Live and exclusive coverage on BBC Television and Radio 5 Live.
A day at the races now on BBC1 as Claire Balding introduces highlights from Royal Ascot.
Good evening and welcome to the highlights of the first day of Royal Ascot, when a supreme sporting occasion combines with all the colours and glamour of the fashion world. Well, last Friday we were all delighted to hear that our BBC commentator Peter O'Sullivan had been awarded a knighthood in the Queen's birthday honours. So it seems even more appropriate that he should describe for us the royal procession.
And Her Majesty, of course, traditionally in the leading carriage,